Welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Ray from the Bloomfield Public Library. Thank you for joining us tonight for Real Talk about Fatherhood and Men's Health in partnership with Doll's House Foundation. Let me turn this over to Meredith.
Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you found it not humbly right to come to our event today. We are celebrating Black History Month. With every year in February, we collaborate with the Bloomfield Public Library and give homage to a local author. We're so delighted to have an author who is celebrating fatherhood. We hear so much negativity about Black men in the media, and tonight we are celebrating prioritizing our kings, and we're going to talk about them being wellness warriors. I am the founder of Doll's House Foundation, a nonprofit charitable organization that was created in 2012. Those of you who have never been to a Doll's House event, it's a treat. During this event, we'll be putting information related to how to stay in touch with us and come to future events. Without further ado, I will be introducing you to Colleen Williams. He is our social media and marketing director. Colleen.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone, and welcome again. I'm Colleen Williams, Director of Social Media and Marketing for Doll's House Foundation. Everything that I and we do, we try to do based on our guiding principles of education, wealth, wellness. And tonight we've got a lot of connectivity between fatherhood, wellness, and supporting and advocating for the health of our kings. I am a father. Both of the panelists are also fathers, and we've got some really cool points of intersection. Our author tonight is Thomas DeVane, local to the Springfield area. And as a treat, we have actor and healthcare professional, Mr. Jean Ducheine, here this evening. And we're going to find some intersecting lines between the journey of fatherhood and the father as the leader in the family, and the father's health as so that goes, so the family goes. What we're going to do tonight, we're going to keep this program running. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to start by letting these gentlemen introduce themselves and give a little bit about their background and journey that's pertinent this evening. We're going to start with Mr. DeVane. Thomas, how are you tonight?
I'm well. Good evening, everyone.
And if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself, your kind of elevator pitch bio.
Sure. My name is Thomas DeVane. I'm a children's book author of The Life and Journey of EnaVed and Nava. I'm a sports enthusiast. I am big on nutrition and health, specifically as it pertains to exercising and eating right. And I try to combine it through literature, sports, and everyday life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And if I could get the same from you, Mr. Jean Ducheine, if you could give a little bit about your background.
Sure. I have a background in engineering, and about 10 years ago transitioned into the medical field, which I'm currently working as a medical assistant / physician's assistant. And one of my other pursuits is also acting and modeling, which I've been doing since 2016.
That's amazing. And as another side note to any of our kings, queens, or whoever here, it is never too early to make that career change, to broaden your horizons and to get into different fields. And shout out to you being in the STEM field, and shout out to you, Thomas, being in the field of arts. We're going to do something cool tonight. I picked a book that is easily digestible by everybody from toddlers to teens to adults. We have the author here, and I thought it'd be awesome if, Thomas, you could give us a quick read of the life and journey of EnaVed and David.
Sure. Well, I chose to read book 1 of The Life and Journey of EnaVed and Nava. It speaks specifically to the birth of a child. And since our theme is wellness, I thought that would be most appropriate.
Beautiful.
So here we go. Daddy, why does mommy have a basketball in her stomach? So we have EnaVed asking Dad, why does mommy have a basketball in her stomach? And judging by the smiles on camera, I'm already loving the reaction. He says, oh, son, mommy doesn't have a basketball in her stomach. She has your little sister in there, and tomorrow she's going to give birth. Does that mean it's her birthday? Yes, EnaVed, your sister's birthday will be the same day she comes into the world and looks at all the things you and I can see. That's why we call it a birthday. It's the day you were born. Once a year, on that day, we celebrate to acknowledge your special day of life, joys, and giggles. Some people celebrate it with tickles, gifts, hugs, laughter, and a chance to eat ice cream and cake. Yummy, yum. I can't wait to have my birthday, EnaVed says as he began to fall asleep. Wake up, EnaVed. It's time to go. EnaVed shakes his head asking, Daddy, can I have one more minute? In a small little voice, still yarning. We're going to the hospital to see your baby sister. Yay, we get to have ice cream and cake? Yummy, yum. Yes, son, we will. But first, we have to make sure your sister sees mommy, daddy, and her brother. Father and EnaVed arrive at the hospital. Mommy introduces Nava to her big brother. Hello, Nava. Are you ready for some ice cream and cake? EnaVed asked. The end. Thank you.
All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know, being a bigger sibling myself, I remember when a younger sibling came out, applause, snaps, all of that. I remember when a younger sibling came along and things got different. If I had some ice cream to incentivize me, that might have made me feel a little differently. Thomas, your book is one where after someone's done reading it, it's like, wow, I wish I had this to read to my child pre their sibling coming along, or it's something that we didn't know we needed that now to me is essential. What was your motivation and your inspiration behind the writing of this book?
Well, for me, it was real simple. I've been coaching basketball for 20 plus years, and I've had the privilege of teaching and molding a lot of young men growing up and watching fathers come to basketball practice, and some that doesn't come to basketball practice, watching kids ask a ton of questions as it pertains to love and activity and trying to do the right thing and how to progress in life as they got older. And I really thought that, wow, these young minds have all this content to speak about, and yet, you know, so few men of color that they can really have that dialogue with. So I took this opportunity to really speak to what real fathers really want, and that's really just to love their children with no press clippings, with no earned credit about it, just doing the very thing in essence of their life, and that's to love their child or children and be a part of their daily life on a regular basis.
Wow. Now, as a father and as a Black father, you know, we spoke about this. Sometimes we become Disney dads. You know, we like the fanfare. We want to do the big trip. We want to put the pictures on Facebook. The value in your book was about a man simply standing in his truth as a father, and the wonder and amazingness of him standing in his truth. And he seemed to be balanced. He seemed to be healthy. And I'm gonna make the segue. He seemed to have his house in order. And I think our house in order starts with us, with our health first. Jean, as a Black father, as a healthcare professional, and just a very intelligent and insightful man, can you speak to kind of the connection between fatherhood health in the community?
Yes, definitely. I think it's, especially when you have children. When I was in my early 20s, I was feeling young and dumb, feeling real healthy. Didn't want to sign a life insurance policy because I thought I can live forever.
Yes.
But when you look at the whole landscape, and if you really, really care for your family, that's very important to keep your health up to par, have a life insurance policy just in case you pass on before they expect you to pass on, and do your yearly checkups. Know your numbers, and then you can decide how you're going to implement what you want to do when you do see your numbers. You know, what does your cholesterol look like? What does your PSA look like? These are all different important numbers, not just weight.
Now, I'm a male, I'm a father. I ain't been to the doctor in 10 years. I haven't gotten a checkup. And the stories I heard about the doctor were from my mother and father who were mistreated by the doctor. How do we, and I'd ask you first, Thomas, because how would you talk to a friend of yours who was afraid to seek some medical care because of some very true things in his past? He's not making anything up. How do you kind of beat the truth with some more truth?
Well, I would start off with saying, trust your reality, because if you perceive it, you believe it. So you know, patronizing adults, especially of color, that's had experiences that few others have, you really have to validate where they're at in their place and time at that moment. And then I would follow that up with saying, you know, health is important. Do you want to be around for your children? Do you want to be around for your significant other? Do you want to be around for you? And if those questions are yes, then you have to do your homework and find a doctor and a professional in the medical field that fits what you're looking for to continue your growth in health, continue your stability in health, and to continue your ability to kind of lead by example as it pertains to health. And take small steps, because we all know if you try to jump into the health and wellness piece like a warrior should, you're gonna fall back behind. So take baby steps, take small steps, and then allow yourself to grow as you get educated on that field so that you continue to stay healthier and healthier and healthier. And then you're having that opportunity to have real dialogue with people like Jean on his forum, real dialogue with other medical professionals that then you can educate yourself, ask the second, third, and fourth question, and then make a decision on how you want to move in what particular health. Everybody's different. Our bodies are different, our minds are different, our backgrounds are different in terms of what we may have gone through. So we have to be able to educate ourselves so that we can get a better sense of what works for our mind, body, and soul, so that we can become better fathers, so that we can become better human beings, so that we can come better to ourselves, so that we can enjoy those side dishes when we want to cheat off a little bit, like that macaroni and cheese and them yams, but also keep back into being able to eat that healthy spinach, that healthy broccoli, and the protein and the fiber that allows us to keep that balance so that we can continue to smile on forums like this.
So what I hear from you is, especially because another point is we have what we enjoy. We have our meat, our fried food, our whatever that are kind of edible vices. And a lot of the health information we see is either or. What I hear from you is a both and. Enjoy that banana pudding and go for a walk. I got you. Jean, hearing you describe what you do, and I know the audience can attest to this, when you hear somebody is actively working in the medical field, it can send a chill down your spine. The last couple of years we have had uncertainty of all kinds reigns supreme. Being on the front lines, can you speak a little to what you've seen coming through your urgent care doors? Have the demographics changed? How has it been versus, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago, these last 2 years kind of unfolded?
Last 2 years, we've seen my youngest patient that had COVID was 8 months.
Mhm.
Oldest patient was 75. And so I've seen the whole gamut. And between December and January of this year, for those 2 months, all we saw were people coming in to get tested. You know, folks that usually come in for lacerations or yearly checkups, that was probably 1% of our visits. But just as Mr. DeVane said, people have had bad experiences. Looking at the folks here on the Zoom call, you know, we think back to the Tuskegee experiment. And yes, definitely, that would definitely leave a bad mark and a bad taste in our mouths as far as trusting anybody in the medical field. But like I said before, there's nothing invasive about going in and getting your blood and checking those numbers. You know, now when you're 50, for the men, you know, we have that test that we're not comfortable with. But we gotta suck it up because the women have been doing tests that they're not comfortable with, probably in their early 20s, depending on their family history. And I kept it clean because I don't know if there's any children in the background. Sarah, Khalid is asking to be unmuted.
Yes, he has the power. So
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. For some reason it wouldn't. I'm sitting here. That's actually, you know what I just went through? That's kind of like health. I had that unmute button there. I could have clicked it. I had that number to the clinic there. I could have called it, but I didn't. And I got a little less life than I did a moment ago. You know, those tests that arrive when we are near 50, some of those uncomfortable things that take place at the doctor. Thomas, can you speak to getting a way to get a youth comfortable with just the whole kind of holistic health process on the other side? Because now we have a chance to do something different for the next generation.
So, and for me, it really starts with relationships. And as a basketball coach, for me, I have that opportunity, and I've had that opportunity when these children were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So if I'm running that lap with them, if I'm preaching to stay in shape so that we can win a state championship or a youth championship, and they see that I'm coming in a fit way, representation is everything for young men and women that have Black and brown skin. So when they want to know certain things, we have to make sure we're educated about that so we can have that dialogue. So that's how I start the conversation with a young man or woman that is having that conversation with me and or their parent, is really just speaking about taking that opportunity to say, hey, these things are important. Exercising and staying in shape are important. Especially when I'm talking about basketball, we had a great experience with the recent COVID piece, the spike in the city, and we were paused for a couple of weeks. And then we had to play a basketball game after about a 2.5 week pause. And it showed where we weren't really in the shape that we needed to be, no fault of theirs, but simply because we couldn't put in the effort to be prepared for that basketball game. We unfortunately took that loss, but it was a great dialogue and a great opportunity to speak about wellness, to speak about health, and to speak about why it's important to stay in shape because of how your body aches and how your lungs feel like they're on fire when you're giving 110% and you're not really prepared for it. And then I will say, and I love you too, Roseboro, North Carolina, peace and love all day. So, you know, at the end of the day, I want to be able to say that those things collaborate real well. And, you know, one of my good friends and for a very long time, Mr. Anderson, we've had dialogue about health and representation and being able to share what matters in our community forever. And that starts with having that circle that is like-minded, that allows you to continue to have that dialogue with young minds that are going to be the future. And one day may be our doctor, one day may be our nutritionist, one day may be our trainer. So it starts there, and it starts with that dialogue and educating them and having those real conversations so that we can go from there.
I would ask, Jean, you are in a Black metropolis, you know, Atlanta, from acting to finance to the medical field and to engineering. There's infrastructure for us and by us. Do you see that in a big city, the public health concerns versus a smaller town or a smaller place? Do you see some differences in how healthcare is administered and thought about?
I can't speak on the small towns, but on the big towns, definitely there's a lot more resources. And speaking to a colleague in Texas, Georgia has a better infrastructure in regards to mental health, where Texas is not as robust. Texas is more, you know, if you have a problem, man up, woman up, you know. But in Georgia, definitely we have Emory University, which is a major contributor in the health field here, and also Piedmont Hospital and Wellstar.
Wow. Wow.
So basically what's happening in Georgia and other parts of the country, these big hospital systems are purchasing the mom and pops, and they're becoming the big boys in town.
You know, just as a citizen, if you lived through the last 20, 30 years, you know what, you've seen your hospital close, you've seen another one open, you've seen them merge. Business and finance is always going to be a reality. We live in America, we are capitalists, we're in a capitalist society. That financial needle needs to point upwards. Money is a big prohibitive factor, real and just in the abstract of people getting access to healthcare. Thomas, I'm ready. I've figured out that I want to pursue health, but I ain't got no money. I don't have any money. I don't have any insurance. What do I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? I go to Thomas first. I know the questions are getting hard.
Well, no, I mean, that's a great question. And it's a real question. You know, the world is, the majority of the world is socially economically challenged. That other side of the world that we speak about that's financially sound is not the real world that I live in. So I work with young men and women on a daily basis. I coach young men on a daily basis that finances has been a struggle. And sometimes health is not the priority because they're more worried about where they're going to eat tomorrow. They're more worried about where the shelter's going to be. So that medical appointment is not the first, second, or third option on their bucket list. So it really starts with educating them about where free health is. Now, the challenge with that is making sure that free health is worth every bit of the word free. And all free health is not the same. So you have to make sure that when you're educating, when that question is brought to your attention, as it is mine, you want to make sure that if there's 3 facilities, medical facilities that offer free health, then you want to speak to all 3. What do they offer? What are they looking for when they examine you? What type of information is being presented? How is the dialogue and the conversation when you're having that second and third question, right? If any of that feels off for you, then you move on to the next medical professional, right? And then we also have assistance where we can have Mass Health, depending on what state you're from, Medicaid, et cetera. You look into that, right? It's got to be about not being shameful on how you can get the support you need from a medical and physical standpoint. It's more about how can I maintain my health and stability so that I can be here today as a young man or woman to grow up as an adult and maybe become the Jeans of the world, maybe become the Mrs. Johnsons of the world, right? Because we want them to know that, at least from our angle, is sport is a tool that you should be using and not let it use you. So if you have that opportunity to go in and educate yourself on health, educate yourself on, I'll tell you a quick funny story. Sometimes I wear a weight vest to practice, and the kids, they look at me sometime and they go, "Mr. DeVane, coach, did you just gain some weight? Because the other day you looked real skinny. What's going on?" And sometimes they'll touch it, and it develops great dialogue. This is the purpose of this book, to create great dialogue. You can't get anywhere in life, in my opinion, unless you have a dialogue forum to speak about and to be educated on, so that you can allow individuals, specifically men of color, people Black and brown, to allow themselves to feel comfortable enough to go into a medical field, to feel comfortable enough to go into the gym and not feel like they're the problem, right? Because that will push them away farther and farther. And as you spoke to, it would scare them enough to say, yeah, I tried that, I did that, didn't work out, I'm not gonna do it again. And if I happen to do it again, it might be 5+ years before I do that again. It could be too late. So we wanna continue to lead by example, role model, inform, educate, allow them to know that there's many things out there that they can figure out. With today's internet, and these kids know it better than I, right? With today's world of internet, man, they can Google just about anything. And that's what I try to tell. And I even have those dialogues like, show me how you can see how many medical professionals in the area. Show me how many medical professionals have discounts or pro bono that can allow you to get some things that can be better off for you. We had a kid that needed, he wore glasses, and every time we played, they fell off. And we were speaking about health and wellness. I think he was embarrassed to say, I can't afford contact lenses, right? I'm coming from an environment where my mom and my father struggled, and maybe, those contact lenses take off a meal off our table for the night. So you have to educate them. Well, you know what? Let's look at this optimist, this eyeglass place and that eyeglass place to see who can help you. And then we'll figure that out together. I'm proud to say he got some contact lenses. And now today he's like, man, I could see better than I thought I could with these glasses on. The piece to that though is, and where the message I'm saying into that is, when you educate yourself, when you do your homework, you will continue to improve your health, you will continue to improve your education, but more importantly, you continue to improve your confidence so that you can then role model for the next person that's Black and brown.
Love that, role model. And another thing I saw from your book is being incentivized. There was incentive to go to the birth of your sister. There was incentive to be a part of the family process. Another thing that, from the other side, Jean, what would you say if I'm insured, I got my good job, I'm doing my thing, I got my health on point. How do I pay it forward? How do I give back? Health, HIPAA laws are very stringent, but how do I help either one person or the multitude of people who may not have the health access that I do to live more abundantly in kind of the wellness space? And I put that to Jean.
I think when it comes to insurance and having others insured, fortunately, the former President Obama had Obamacare, which definitely changed millions of lives, and people that weren't able to do their yearly checkups or able to walk into an ER without the thought of having sticker shock after the visit, they were able to get insurance, check in with doctors, and going back to your question, for an individual that has a job and they have great insurance, which most ERs look at first before they say, okay, how are we going to treat this person? what tests are we gonna run? And because the insurance companies have medical doctors on their staff checking tests that were done and saying, okay, why did you do this test? It wasn't necessary. But if this person has a golden, let's say United Healthcare premium, I'm just making this up, and the doctor runs A through M tests, most likely the insurance company is not gonna push back. They're just gonna say, okay, this person has superb insurance. Now, back to Thomas's point, you with a premium insurance, you have to educate your circle of people around you to say, hey, I have this job at AT&T. Let me try to get you on so you can partake of this premium insurance. Or, I didn't say this, if you can do some bootleg, like this is my cousin Nancy, she's part of my family. I just adopted her, and wrap her up under your insurance. You know, it's basically looking out for somebody else. Prime example, when my sister had reached the high school age, we were zoned for a high school that was known for fighting. And my aunt took it upon herself to say, okay, use my address and she can be zoned for my high school, which was way, way better and had no fights. So there's many ways to get insurance. It's just what tier of insurance you're gonna receive. And that's, you know, to Thomas's point, that's all about education.
About education, that's a fact. Thomas, and what would you say, again, I am in a position where a lot of my friends, there's no shame in my game. When there's an initiative where there's something to be donated, I say, I see you got this car. I saw you eating out last week. I saw you spending on this. Come help me with this initiative. When it comes to improving public health on as large a scale as possible, and a larger scale as possible, I mean, if I'm one person, if I can help 3 people and that makes sense, or if I can help 30 people. Would you have any advice, Thomas, on how I would go about doing so and encouraging others who have the ability to do so?
Well, I think, first of all, that's a great statement. And I think you have to know that not every yes is the right yes, and not every donor is the right donor. And what I mean by that is there's times when people donate or give you a yes, there may be an agenda attached to that. So you have to understand, what are you really asking for? And who do you want it from? Because some people will support and help because it's the right thing to do. They want to see people improve their health. They want to see people enjoy their lifestyle in a way that they may have not had the opportunity in the past or currently. And, you know, that's really who you really want to be working with and talking to as it pertains to, hey, I might need some help. Not someone that's going to say, hey, you know what? I made sure you had that medical appointment. I paid for it, but now I need you to come shovel my yard and rake my grass, right? That's not the dialogue you want to create with someone. You want to know who you're working with. You want to know who you're asking, and you want to know who you're accepting from. And again, every yes isn't the right yes, and every donor isn't the right donor. So what we try to do when we're talking with our young men and women, people, Black and brown, is that just really pay attention to your surroundings and who you're really talking and walking with, because it'll give you, you know, a good sense of who you should ask and who you know, there's the old adage of, tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are, right? And that's kind of what we want to speak to when we're talking about wellness, when we're talking about health, when we're talking about nutrition, when we're talking about medical fields, right? I'm blessed to have several colleagues and some personal friends on this forum today. And again, show me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are, right? So those are who are supporting me on this forum today. My hat off to you, love you all day. And what we're going to say to that is, those are the people that I'm going to go to and speak on, right? Because I trust them, right? They're going to give me the real answer, whether I like it or not. That's the same truth when it becomes to medical, when it becomes to nutrition, when it comes to health. You don't want someone to tell you yes because it sounds fun. yes, because that's what you want to hear, and we may not get into a dialogue. And yes, because I have a hidden agenda behind that, right? I want someone to say, you may need to go get that diabetes check. You might need to look at your diet, because if you don't, whatever medical complications you have may increase your chances of not being here tomorrow, right? So you want to have those real conversations. I got, whether it's professional or personal, some people in my personal life, my professional life, that are more than willing to tell me what it really is.
Yes.
And the reason why I think I cherish that is because it's what I try to model for Black and Brown as well. And I try to model that because I want them to understand what's important. If you truly want to get healthy, if you truly want to build muscle and develop strength, because as we get older, that muscle decreases, right? But we want to be able to continue to take those walks. We want to be able to continue to lift the chair, as we maybe not as fast and as swiftly as we did in our 20s and 30s, but we want to still be able to lift that chair in our 50s and 60s, right? And that goes to the question you asked about asking the right people, hearing the right yes, speaking about what that yes might be. That yes might be not what you want to hear, but it'll educate you and it'll give you the clear direction to stay healthy and nourished and strong and have that ability to have those same walks in your 50s, 60s, and 70s that you do when you're in your 20s, 30s. I'm in the gym 4 days a week. I eat a lot of bananas, apples, and strawberries, blueberries, self juices. I juice at least 2-3 times a year. And I don't do it because it all tastes great, right? I joke with my staff sometimes for eating gummy bears, right? I joke with.
Okay, you're going too far.
I had to put that out there. You know, I want them to understand you're going to get the right yes from me, right? Because getting the right yes from me is because I care about what you guys are putting in your mouth. Those things don't digest very well. But when you get your digestive system that can fit what you're trying to do as a lifestyle, then it will allow you to do those things that you enjoy as a human being and as a person.
That's awesome. Gentlemen, I polled a few of my peers, men of color who are in my field, the hospitality industry. And when people are anonymous, they ask questions that are a little more open and raw. And I got a couple I want to put to the both of you because I was told to try to come and get a real answer. All right, here we go. I am straight up addicted to sugar. If there was a rehab, I would go today. I have had a drug addiction in the past, and I find the sugar is that much more hard to give up. What in the world am I to do, and what is my first step? Because I get irritable every time I cut it out. May I start with you, please, Jean?
Good question. And usually with my hard-nosed, hard-headed patients, I'll make different comments from, you know, what's your favorite color suit? Because that's what we're going to bury you in.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, you know, I give them the example of Bill Gates, multi-billionaire, but all that money in the world won't mean nothing if his health is not up to par. Health, you know, health is wealth, as they used to say. One trick that I learned when I used to work in IT, we used to have vendors that used to take us out to dinner or lunch, and me being a foodie and being greedy, I would order appetizer, entree, and dessert. And if it was after 5 p.m., drinks.
All right.
And so I never checked my sugar level, but I'm sure it was off the charts. So what I've done now that I'm a lot more conscious, is when I walk by a pizza store, I look at it, I'm like, I know what it tastes like. I can walk by a bakery, I look at cheesecake, which is one of my favorite. I know what that tastes like, and I keep on moving. I learned from a trainer a long time ago, don't do a cheat day, do a cheat meal. Because if you do a cheat day, you can reach up to Michael Phelps' caloric intake for the day. You could be hitting 20, 30,000 calories just on a couple sweets. So definitely, these are some pointers that I give my patients, is just cut out the sweets, because it breaks down your immune system. It opens you up to colds, flus, and whatever other maladies that are out there. But the worst is diabetes. Diabetes it attacks the kidneys, it attacks the eyes, and it attacks the feet. And what I tell patients that don't maintain their blood sugar correctly is, I'm the nice guy, but if you don't listen, I'm going to send you to the bad guy, which is the surgeon, which is going to amputate your legs. So we could do it the easy way or the hard way. And that's how I deal with some of my patients, not all of my patients.
Right. Well, it's inspiring that you have the fortitude to say what really needs to be said. And I just wanted to highlight that cheat day versus the cheat meal. I know how it feels to have that cheat day, and you almost feel like you have a cheat life. And then the next day you wake up and the worst hangover I ever had was from food. It hurts to lessen those things. But going from a cheat day to a cheat meal, all right, I can do that. And like Thomas said before, the baby steps and kind of meeting people where they are. That is awesome. All right, Thomas, to you, same question. I'm straight up addicted to sugar. If I stop eating sugar, I'm gonna start smoking Newports again. What you want me to do?
Well, anytime we have a habit, it has to start with a plan to break it, right? And that plan again starts with baby steps. When you're ready to eat that chocolate cake, right? My kryptonite is chocolate chip cookies. Oh man, that and milkshakes, man, it puts me in a bad spot. So what I have to do is, I'm gonna go to the gym right now, or I'm gonna go ride the bike right now, or I'm gonna go take that walk right now, right? Because it's quick to ride by a grocery store and say, I know they got a 6-pack of chocolate chip cookies that I can just bring, and I only eat one today, which we know that doesn't typically usually happen.
Sounds great.
Yeah, right. You really have to just start to develop good habits, right? Because we all have the non-good habits, and then we have the good habits. And it's just creating more of those healthier, good habits that, there may be. One thing I try to do is try to cook most of my meals, because that's really the healthiest way to eat, right? And so I really try to find ways of how can I bake some chocolate chip cookies as opposed to go buying some chocolate chip cookies, because I may have that itch for sugar, but I'd rather have some more healthier sugars than the bad sugars, right? That's the balance you have to do, and that's the habits you got to create, and shifting your mindset so that you get a little healthier, and you don't put the pressure on to try to be perfect. Because when you start to put that pressure on trying to be the perfect health wellness warrior, or the health warrior, or the nutritious warrior, right? You guaranteed to fail. Because in anything we do in life, it's just not a strong form to be able to stay on. So it's really just trying to create good habits, and really trying to understand, I can still do these things, but what's the best way to do them without falling off the cliff?
All right, I got one more. This one is rough to even read. All right. This gentleman said, I feel like when I give my child who is obese pizza, candy, sweets, that we bond and they love me more. I cannot take how it would feel to not have those moments. My child throws a tantrum when I don't feed them how they want, and they show me love when I give them the foods that they want that aren't good for them. How do I get out of this cycle? And Jean, I'd go to you, sir.
For me, because of the way I was brought up, it's easy. You know, my parents are Haitian, so it was just a quick smack, you know, quick smack and a quick belt. When it came to my daughter, basically from the time she was 6 months, we opened up her palate with a lobster bisque. We were at a restaurant, we had her taste it, she loved it. And the couple that was sitting next to us was amazed. They were just like, she likes that. How do you guys do that? We're like, well, it's either let her starve, or when she gets hungry, she'll eat, she'll comply. But when a child is obese and a parent feels that's the only way they're gonna reach that child's love, there's definitely some type of disconnect. Whether that parent may be repeating what they went through as a child. So I would say to that parent, definitely there needs to be some therapeutic counseling for both the parent and the child, and incorporate something as simple as walking around the corner and just talking. And that can be a start point of starting to exercise and get that child active and get that child out the house. I noticed in my neighborhood, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys and ladies, I really don't see the children outside playing that much. You know, there might be 4 or 5. We have a tennis court, we have a basketball court, we have a swimming pool. The only time we see any activity is during the summertime. There's a swim team, but otherwise, everything else is empty. The adults are playing tennis, but not the kids. So I would definitely tell that parent, you're doing that child a disservice, and you're setting them up for failure, because to see a child that's, let's say, 8 years old and they're 150 pounds, to me, that's child abuse. And that's something, I don't know, each state is different, but I think there are some states that have passed laws to check that parent out and say, hey, this child is way over the limit. They're not in the 50 percentile, they're not in the 95 percentile for their weight category, they're way overweight. So let's help the child out, let's help the parent out. Let's change that mind frame of feeding that child and thinking that the reward is love, or that's the only way to receive love from that child.
I'm gonna take my moderator hat off and just put my citizen hat on, because we're gonna open it up.
Can I interrupt for a moment, citizen?
Sure. Yeah.
Ooh, give a chance. Give a sister a chance.
Oh, sure. Please.
I just wanted, before we depart, I just wanted to highlight some points that were brought up as it relates to the good questions that came up related to fiscal lack of resources. And just wanted to highlight that Dow's House Foundation next year will be highlighting financial security and wealth and nation building. And we had some very strong financial advisors and fiscal experts on the phone, on the call. So next year, we're hoping to continue to educate the community by teaching about financial wealth, transgenerational wealth. So just to highlight that to everyone. I also wanted to highlight before some of our partners went off, the community. Now that we have all been on this platform, we are all Dows, and thank you for coming to our house where everyone is welcome to the table to eat. I want to highlight that Thomas DeVane, the author, is on the board of directors for a nonprofit organization in Springfield Ballers. And I believe that the CEO of Springfield Ballers is on the phone today, who also does, and their organization does uplift and servicing children in the greater Springfield area. I also wanted to suggest that, Jean Ducheine was someone we met at 18 years old, and 10 years later, he is still here to support. I highlight all of that to also suggest that in the length of this platform, we have people from North Carolina, Georgia, New York, Boston, all on the line today. So again, we just wanted to highlight that Dolls House Foundation is a circle of reach and giving. And we just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. Thank you for always seeing it that it's not right to come together to help develop each other and to support each other. Just as Thomas DeVane said, when you have to look at the company you keep. And I just wanted to highlight that we are in very good company tonight. And again, I also want to salute the Bloomfield Public Library. I feel like we have a personal relationship with the Bloomfield Public Library, a very strong pillar in the local community that I live at. And I would encourage you that if you're not involved with your local library, the library is not just a place where you read books, it's a multi-service center. I hope that we set an example with partnering with our library, because we partner with our library all the time. And that model is generally across the country as it relates to library services. People are just not aware of that. Also, I wanted to also highlight all of the regular DAOs that have come, and I want to give everyone an opportunity to put your email in the chat so we can stay connected with you all and highlight the events that we're participating in. We also have a few educators on the phone. We have one of the members of the Bloomfield Board of Education. Several principals just left the line. So again, we are really blessed to have everyone here. I wanted to also, if I may, give Linda Montero an opportunity just to quickly highlight some of the support to voter information, if you will. Linda, are you prepared to do that or no? Probably not. I put you on the spot, so forgive me. But I just want people to pay attention to be interested. This is a very important year. And the year before last, we talked about women's suffrage and voting, but we just want to highlight that. Please be prepared. We're in a very critical time where we need to be execute our right to vote, because we're in critical times with gas prices going up. As we speak, we are in war. And so we would be remiss if we didn't pay sustained attention to that as we highlight our wellness warriors, as we encourage you to make sure that you have your resources in your homes right now, you have your water, and you follow up on getting your medical checks. So I just want to take that sustained moment to make sure that we pay attention, because as we're so happy on this line, the world is in a serious, complex situation right now. So I just wanted to take that moment to highlight that.
Thank you. It's refreshing to be around so many people who are not afraid to tell the truth, whether it sounds pretty or not. Much respect. And what we want to do now is we're going to open up questions in a free form to the room. After I ask this next question, let me just let you all know how it's going to go. You can raise your hand. The moderators will see you and we will bring you up to ask a question about the program, the book, health, fatherhood, these gentlemen and their experiences. If you want to talk about where you're coming from or what field you're in, etc., please, the forum is going to be open. I just have a couple of questions. As a citizen, I came, so I wanted to get a couple in. The first place I ever had, and this is for both of you gentlemen, first place I ever had junk food was at school in the cafeteria. if we rated how we cared about our children by what is served in the cafeteria at everything but the most elite schools, it would be at best criminally negligent and at worst assault. Discussing these, it seems like these conversations at all the BOE meetings I see, all of what happens in the school board, the food that's served doesn't come up in the content that is there. Gentlemen, can you speak to that issue? I wouldn't ask this of everybody because a lot of people wouldn't answer me. Thomas, I'd start with you if you would be so kind.
Well, you know, I started with this theme about making sure you're educated in your food content and what that entails. And let me start off by answering Mr. Wilkerson's question in the chat about, you know, healthy food, organic or natural foods are expensive. And he asked the question, and I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but what would be the best way to give advice for that? Well, what I would say to that is, you're 100% correct, but there are ways to eat healthier, right? Because you may not have it in your budget to buy all organic. And a tidbit, all organic is not good for you. You have to read the labels. You have to make sure you know what's in your foods, because the catchphrase in today's world is organic. It's a marketing tool to get you to buy, and you're still eating just as bad, if not worse. So that's one thing I would suggest, is read your labels, understand what you're putting in your body so that you can really be eating healthy and understanding the way you're eating healthy. As it pertains to a budget, well, eating healthier doesn't have to be expensive, right? Spinach is not very expensive. Fruit, depending on the fruit, it's not very expensive. And you just have to know where to go. There's certain grocery stores I'm not here to promote because they don't cut me a check. But what I will say is there's certain grocery stores that do allow you to buy on a budget and maintain a healthier lifestyle that will give you the opportunity to stay on track as it pertains to nutrition, as it pertains to eating. Because the healthier you eat, the more energy you have. The healthier you eat, the more your brain functions better. The healthier you eat, the more active you are in terms of conversation and physicality, et cetera. So you might want to look at those stores that may have certain produce and certain vegetables and certain items that are fiber and iron that sell at a discount. Now, when I say that, you also want to look at the expiration date, right? Because just because you're buying at a discount, you want to make sure it's not a week old, because you're doing yourself a disservice and you're allowing yourself to defeat the purpose of trying to be healthy. So I hope that helped answer your question, Mr. Wilkerson. And then in terms of the schools and the nutritional value that they present, well, you have to understand the mechanism here. They're feeding thousands of children on a daily basis. And to do that, you're looking at how is the best, most efficient way to do it on a school budget that will allow these children to eat, right? And sometimes those meals are the first and last of the day for a number of students.
Yes.
So they're putting this in their body. So how a parent can really educate that is talking about going to the school, being active. What does your lunch menu look like? What are you offering our children, right? Because a lot of times those foods are processed foods that are just put in an oven or microwave, put out now, and then given to children, right? So, you know, we know most non-nutritional food has the best taste buds, and that's designed for a reason, right? Because that's what makes these individual companies financially wealthy, right? So you have to continue to educate yourself. Now you have some parents that may not be as involved on that or afraid to understand what that is. Well, then have those dialogues. You know, the Life and Journey of EnaVed has a series coming out that speaks to nutrition, right? It has a series that's coming out that speaks to catching fish and, you know, walking to the park and skipping, you know, 1, 2, 3, what do you see? I see brown trees and green leaves. And the reason for that book that's coming out in 2023 is I wanted to create an opportunity for young men and women and young children and parents to also know that you have to know your surroundings from an economical standpoint, from a food standpoint, nutritionist, from a medical standpoint, so that you can make best decisions possible. So when your children are going to school and getting those foods, right, they have an opportunity to eat healthier. I worked in the school system for 9 years. I've seen the cafeteria food. There's a couple of teachers and deans of students and previous teachers that are on this form now. And I won't call you out because I know you still work in the school systems and we don't want to get you in trouble. But at the end of the day, those meals, 9 out of 10 are non-nutritional meals. The design for that is to put food in a child's mouth and get through the day with them having something in their stomach, right? So I'm not necessarily disappointed with the theology of it. I'm disappointed with the practicality of it when you're speaking about hoping to be nutritional, right? So there just have to be better ways. And now you have some schools, unfortunately more affluent schools, starting to have more produce and more less sugar items. And now those same things have to now come into those school systems that are socially economically challenging. And the best way to do that is involvement by the parents, the student body, et cetera, to change those menus.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And Jean, I'll put that one to you. They're serving us poison in the schools. I just want your reaction.
I think in addition to what Thomas is saying, it goes back to who's in office, who's controlling the budget for that public school system. And it's easy to say, go out and vote. And that person makes promises that they may or may not fulfill. My vantage point, which I had a discussion with an elder, is instead of telling your kids, sometimes I know it's a tough sell, but let's say your child wants to be an engineer. You're going into politics, kid, because I'm going to groom you and you're going to be that face that we are 100% sure when we vote, you're going to speak to what we want done. Not, Joe that's going to say, I promise to pave the roads, and there's still potholes after Joe gets elected.
Right.
Just like Thomas said, it's also the zip code. Are they in an affluent neighborhood where the parents usually are more involved? Because I know when I dropped my daughter off at college, the college put out all the stops on the food. 2 months later, I went to go visit her. Cafeteria food was not up to par. And this is at the college level. So I know at the high school and elementary level, depending on the zip code, it's subpar. So parent involvement is key. And also getting that person that has a track record in politics of keeping their promises, or having that person that's groomed to take office, and you vote for that person and will keep their promises.
The person that will keep those promises. That's awesome. So many great points made, and I just wanted to, as quick as possible, I promise, some lasting themes and what I got from you gentlemen. I didn't hear either or, I heard both and. We can have a school lunch program that we can afford and have health. We can buy produce and stay in budget. We can show some candor to our loved ones and be kind. And I think that kind of goes to the soul of our organization and what we're trying to do and what we want in men's health and what you kind of need in this world today. Thomas, you talked about eating healthier. Are we going to be able to be turned perfect overnight? No, we're not. We live in a microwave culture. Everything's moving fast. Everything's based on dollar. Everything's based off of pop culture. But we can make one decision different this morning, this afternoon, this evening, and those add up cumulatively and those affect our lives. Jean, those harsh conversations, sometimes we have to have them with each other, and showing that kind candor is so necessary. Gentlemen, awesome. I just want to read a couple things from the chat that I see that are awesome. Let's see here. From Sarah Ray from the Bloomfield Public Library. I like this. My vegetarian budget includes growing my own food, making my own beans, and buying in bulk. I choose to eat, I'm more of a flexitarian, if you will. It means I'm vegetarian until if I see a few things, and maybe 10% of the time cheat. But spring is coming. Seeds at Home Depot or your grocery store, etc., are not expensive, and there's so many herbs and vegetables that grow with minimal acumen, and that's an awesome place to start growing your own food, buying in bulk. Both of these gentlemen said the magic word: plan. We plan to have, but we sometimes rarely have a plan. If we can plan our food and our intake and our health, we control our own destiny a lot more. With that, I'd like to open it up to the room. Again, we have so many luminaries and awesome people in here. I would love to hear some commentary, question, comment, inspiration, shout out. If you want to name your fraternal organization, you can do that. But I'd love to get some hands up and get some feedback from the room. All right, I think we got someone. If you want to introduce yourself.
Huh? No, but I know how to do it.
The iPad user, it's on you if you'd like to contribute. Yeah. Go for it. Okay.
Come on.
We're going to mute them and move on, and they can unmute if they'd like to again. Does anybody else want to raise a hand or just unmute? I can see everybody now. So.
Who here eats right? Who here can cook? Let me know. What do you cook? What do you like? Nobody in here cook? That's what you're telling me?
I'll tell you what I just made today, Colleen. I just made broccoli tots with 2 heads of broccoli and with some diced onion and some curry ketchup that I threw together. So
curry ketchup.
That was today's recipe.
That's what we call culinary elevation right there. I posted on Facebook the other day. I have my lovely toaster air fryer. My sister said it even has French doors. I thought I was obsessed with bacon. I thought I was obsessed with French fries, but it's not that. I'm obsessed with crispy. I like things that are crispy. I throw some broccoli in there. The little sugar that's in there starts reacting, and I get that nice char on the outside, and I'm just as happy. And I'm not falling asleep after I would after eating half a pack of bacon. So things like those broccoli tots. Also, spice can sometimes quell the need for salt or sugar. I really like spice, and I find the spicier I eat, the more I'm able to lay off sugar. Tart is another awesome flavor. Can anyone in this room tell me what the good sugars are and what the bad sugars are?
I think the good sugars are those gummy bears that somebody said that we can't digest. So.
Oh, Haribo gang all day. Yes, please.
Let me live.
Mm-hmm. Although pro tip, I highly suggest nobody get the sugar-free ones. I promise. You can go on Amazon and read the reviews yourself. I'm not going to put that here.
There is a hand up that it looks like Jason Willis may have a question.
Ooh.
Yes, hello, everybody.
Hey there.
Yes, I had a question. First, I would like to make a comment. Everything was great tonight. Learned so much. Happy to be here. Can't wait for the next one. And then the question goes to the doctor. You know, during this COVID pandemic, everybody's been going through a lot of challenges. I would just like to know, can you talk about more ways to boost immune system? That's one of the biggest things that we have to fight against COVID. And I want to like to hear more things, not about eating, but about sleeping and working out, and how you can use your body to do different things to boost your immune system, so we can have more weapons against this COVID-19.
They'll say that there aren't any studies out there to combat COVID, but being Haitian, being from the Caribbean, ginger cloves, garlic. All this you can mix in, you could blend, you can boil, make it a tea, or what's the new thing? Just lost my train of thought. Apple cider vinegar. You mix all of these. So instead of spending $2, $3 to go get a shot at the supermarket, you've made your own. And you can make a big bottle, take a shot every morning, and depending on your level of tolerance for bitter, and take one in the morning, take one in the evening. Cut down your sweets, improve your sleep. You know, sleep is majorly important. January of last year, I was running so ragged that my immune system dipped, and that's how I got COVID. And I thought, you know, my health was up to par, and it was, but lack of sleep definitely opened me up to this virus.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David, for your contribution. Awesome question.
I had another part to that. One other part, I heard somebody say, I think it was Thomas DeVane, that he works out about 4 times a week. How often should we work out, and what type of workout should we do to boost our immune systems?
Well, you know, the studies show you should be active daily, but the physicality of the workout should be at least 3 times a week. And I say that based off the studies, but personally, I like to do 4 times a week. I like to incorporate some HIIT as opposed to cardio. I like to incorporate some strength-based to continue to have some bone and muscle growth. And I like to incorporate switching around in terms of your body, just like anything else, can adapt to the workouts. So you have to be creative and changing it from time to time so that your bones and your muscle can continue to grow. You know, being the age that I am, I need to continue to make sure that my body doesn't get complacent to the workouts. So even though I go 4 times a week, I try to maybe 1 month work out with heavier weights, that month with shorter reps. And then another month I may go high reps, lighter weight, just to continue to get in certain conditions that my body doesn't get used to. And in terms of exercising, man, you know, Jason, I know you well. You have my personal number. Anytime you're ready to go to that gym, I'll go personally with you and show you some routines that we can get hit. But you want to do things like, you know, toning your triceps. So reverse tricep, you know, with cable rolls. You want to do bench press. You know, I would suggest if you're a novice, someone that's just starting, you use the Smith machine and not use free weights and dumbbells, because you know, you could potentially hurt yourself when you're starting off, but maybe getting into the Smith machine where you can do a plethora of exercises. You can do squats, you can do bench, you can do lat rolls, you can do deadlifts, all on that Smith machine that will allow you to be under control, not hurt yourself, and continue to, you know, with your fitness growth.
Okay, all right, thank you, appreciate it.
That is awesome. I'm gonna pretend that I knew what a Smith machine was. I'm looking at it right now, and that's awesome. And it takes away one more excuse, quite frankly. I now know that there's something I can use to lift weights, and I'm not gonna hurt myself. And there's an awesome there's an awesome comment in the chat that I just saw. Let me find it. Okay, ooh, Doll's House Exercise Club. Yeah, Marcia, I like that. Now I got to be about it and do it. Ms. Patricia said she makes hummus and loves to make Haitian soup full of veggies, her own cakes and cookies when she's waving the preservatives. You know, as an aside, some of our traditional food ways hold the key to health, hold the key to freshness. Jean was just talking about the West Indian traditions of ginger, of hibiscus tea, of sorrel. I know whenever I was sick and I had to make it, I would go to the little Rainbow Variety shop, and I told the man I was sick, and he threw some herbs up. I'd go home, fry them up, boil them up, and I was then again reborn. Another aside, I've never had Haitian food. So Ms. Patricia, when we start the Dolls House Exercise Club, I hope you're going to feed us afterwards. Awesome commentary. Again, just to restate our purpose, we were here to meet the author in Mr. Thomas DeVane and have him read from his book that's a slim volume but says so much, and also connect the themes of fatherhood with health, and hear from Mr. Jean Ducheine, tenured and experienced healthcare professional, engineer, and actor, and all around great human beings. And I think that is the key here. These gentlemen care. They care about something besides themselves, and that comes through in all the advice they give. It comes through in the work that they do, and it came through tonight. And I'd like to say I'm honored to be here. And this is one of those times where I can't say nobody told me. You know, none of us can say that we didn't get any good health advice in 2022. So now the onus is upon us to make the change. And I think at this time, I will turn it back over to our magnanimous, beautiful, fearless, and ever-present leader, Ms. Meredith Johnson.
I just got to make a comment before Meredith starts.
Please do.
Mr. Bennett's lady reminds me of Mayweather with drinking water, and I've been watching her drinking water. I hope that's water. I don't know if she hears me because she's looking at the ceiling. Kudos to you for drinking that water. That's awesome.
I can give kudos to my girl. I can't tell the truth, shame the devil, it's hers. She drinks it all day, but I'm gonna keep it next to me. Hopefully that'll motivate me.
Okay.
So thank you, Jean. Yes, I think I think that's great. Again, thank you all who have come out and attended tonight. Colleen, while I'm saying our final goodbyes, if you could just post our next event. We want to carry on this conversation. We need to stay together. We need to stay connected. Again, I hate to be the messenger of bad news, but we're again in a crisis. And as we salute our men, wellness warriors, prioritizing the health of our kings, we will be celebrating on August 13th, 2022, where again, another year we'll be celebrating the work, we'll be giving grants to those in need. But the months leading up to that event, we are going to continue to move around and talk about how we can support our kings. Our next event, we want to have an opportunity to have a men's only forum to talk about mental health. We know there's a great deal of distress that has been going on in our nation where people have participated in self-harm, oftentimes leading to death. We know that there's a stigma associated with men and talking about their emotional distress. So on April 28th at 6:30, we want to have another virtual platform for men only to come together to talk about emotional stability and some of the barriers that are current when men are not able to come together and talk about the multi-stressors that may impact emotional stability. We'll have a panel of subject matter experts coming on to be available for folks, but it'll be a soft, safe environment to have this type of conversation. They have had these virtual talks throughout the country, and we also feel that it's necessary. So we hope that you all again will add your email conversations, your email addresses in the chat. Colleen, thank you. If you could decrease that now. Thank you so much. If you could add your emails in the chat so that we can give you the further details of this event. And we hope that you'll be able to come out for our banquet. Unfortunately or fortunately, one of the legacies of Dow's House is our obsession with food and eating. We love to eat. We love to fellowship, hence Doll's House. So we want to thank you this evening for being here and coming to Doll's House and coming to our table and sharing a good intellectual meal. Thank you, Mr. DeVane, for sharing your creative works with us, for allowing us to celebrate you. We already have, there's some other authors that are going to be reaching out to you to kind of find out how you maneuver this and develop this way to do this distribution of your creative work. And this is what Doll House wants to do. We want to connect people. Thank you, Jean, for being available, even though you have a really serious, very stressful position in the trauma unit. And we also salute your future endeavors that we look forward to hearing about. Salute you and your wife and your children, your lovely family, and I hope that we'll be able to see you during August, and everyone else that has been on the call tonight. And we just hope that you have a blessed evening. I guess instead of us ending the call, we'd like for Jean and Thomas, if you could end the call, that would be great.
Well, I guess I'll start off by saying, you know, if anything you've taken away from this forum today, I hope it's about consistency. I hope it's about education, and I hope it's about dialogue. And if you can focus on those three things, you'll continue to grow, both physically, mentally, therapeutically, behaviorally, et cetera. And that would be my ending statement, to say, have a blessed evening. Thank you again. I enjoyed having this conversation, and everyone stay healthy.
Folks, it's a journey. I like to put in the mindset of when I was pledging with crossing a desert, stay focused. You only come around one time. Stay focused, stay healthy, be blessed, and do something positive.
Thank you.